What's up, guys, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now, today we're going to be getting into a little bit of the art of eBay, and this is something I think we both have a bit of experience with, and some Craigslist, some other things. What kinds of things can we do to find used models and get a deal, as it were. But, of course, before that, what have you been up to, Brent?
Okay, all right. I'm prepared this time. Today, in the mail, I got sanding twigs. Okay, so holding them up in front of the camera here, I got sanding twigs, and in particular, I got a specific grit of sanding twig. Now, what these are little foam sticks, and they have sandpaper on either side. Now, basically they serve the purpose of like a file for cleaning up a mini or whatnot. But I have found that these are the perfect things for cleaning up bases, especially. So on a base rim, especially like the older GW bases that had the sprue on that attached to the rim. And so you always got that like knobbly divot just right on the smooth, flat surface of the rim. They've started casting them, differently so that the injection port is like on the underside of the base now, which is much better. But it's still a major trope that, half the bases I own have a nasty little thing that needs to be sanded off on the base, and it took me years to figure out what the proper tool for that was. If you use an X-Acto blade, you either end up with like kind of a weirdly flat spot, or like you make the divot worse, or and even a file that just isn't quite right. But these foam sanding twigs are perfect. This is the only tool I've ever found that like flattens that divot off perfectly, and so it's a cheap little thing to kind of add to my files and my other sanding stuff. Now, the reason I'm particularly excited here is that if you go on Amazon, the only thing you can find is a multi-pack of sanding twigs. And so it has a bunch of different grits in it. And I think the deal that they always offer is there's these little plastic baggies that have 20 assorted twigs in them, and all of them are the wrong grit. So I think they had a deal where it was like 5 packs of 20, and each one is like a different color. There's red and blue and black and white, and the only correct grit is blue. Okay. And out of 100 sticks, I got one of them when I ordered the multi-packs. And
it's not good.
Oh no. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay, here it is. So for like the last 6 months, this has been my most prized possession, is this one nasty old blue sanding twig. Okay. Mostly. But there've been days where I've like lost it, or it's been behind something or under something, and I panicked just now because I thought I lost it, but luckily today in the mail I got 100 new blue-only twigs. So
that's real nice. And where you got those on Amazon, or did you buy them? Okay.
No. So that's the rest of the story. So Amazon often doesn't have exactly what you want. Like I've looked, and you can only get the multi-pack on Amazon, and I am not rolling those dice again. No. Seriously, it is this tiny little foam twig. Why would you want 40 grit sandpaper on that?
Yeah. Like, what would you even use that for?
Right? Like 40 grit is if you're trying to take off like 5 layers of paint off of your deck. Like it does not belong on like a little precision instrument like this.
That's really interesting, actually. I wonder, there has to be some specific use for that, right? Like for that small of a file with that large of sandpaper?
I don't know. Anyway, the company is Durasand, and so what I did is I just found their website for Durasand, got sanding twigs, and the blue ones are kind of one side of the blue is 120, I guess 120 grit, and the other side is 240. And it turns out that like the combination of those is like 2 shades of blue. But anyway, it turns out like the combination of those is just perfect for taking that burr off of the edge of bases. And I am inordinately proud of myself for discovering this thing, and now, getting the initiative to finally go away from Amazon.com to the website that actually sells exactly what I wanted. And I mean, they're cheap, like $2 for a pack of 20 of these things.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using sanding sticks for a while just to clean up mold lines in weird places. Yeah, the burrs on the bases, that kind of thing. But I have no idea what grit my sanding sticks are. And I get like 20 of them in a pack for $5 at Hobby Lobby. Yeah.
Okay.
They seem fairly fine grit, and I'm pretty sure both sides are the same. But yeah, they work all right for most things. Sometimes, like, it's not fine enough if you're trying to, like, if you fill a gap with like milliput or something, going over that, you can see the sanding lines. Obviously, I'm going to be looking at this website and getting that instead, because knowing the grit of your sandpaper is kind of important. Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah. So look, while I was over there buying the blue 120, 240 grit stuff, I also found an even finer one, pink. Okay. And I haven't even tried these yet. I'm not sure what these are good for, but these are 280/320.
Oh yeah.
And so, even a little bit finer. They feel like they could be good for something.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Again, I don't know what the super coarse sanding twigs are for here. It does not make a lot of sense to me.
Nothing comes to mind. Yeah.
I assume Durasand just made a ton of them, realized there was no purpose for the coarse ones, and then just sold them all as multi-packs on eBay to suckers who were really just going for the blue ones. But
that actually makes a lot of sense. They're just offloading.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody will figure this out.
Yeah, actually, a week or two ago, I was watching James Wapple on Twitch, and he was using these sanding twigs, and we actually got into a conversation about, it's the blue ones that you need, and like he had the exact same multi-pack from Amazon. It's like, yeah, most of them there's no purpose for them. But anyway, to wrap this little segment up here, Durasand sanding twigs, you can get exactly the grit you want. Just go to durasand.com or whatever it is, and yeah, somewhere in the grid of like 120, 240, something like that. It's good stuff.
I feel like this should have been in the last podcast, like necessary hobby tools. Like we didn't even talk about that.
Well, no, this showed up today, and last podcast I was saying like, look, I've slowed down. I haven't been buying like major equipment purchases. I spent $20 on a lot of the correct size sanding twigs. That's like, good. This hobby is, we're always spending a little bit of our extra cash and our extra time on stuff we want or need, and that $20 purchase made me very happy, and I will never, lose my sanding twig again. I'll always have one. Or it's like nail clippers, If you can't find nail clippers one day, you go to the store and you buy 6 nail clippers and you scatter them around your house, and you will always find them in a drawer somewhere. That's true.
I do find them in random places. Yeah.
Drawer, car, bathroom, under some stuff. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like it.
All right, Casey, that's me. That's
your update.
Update of the day.
Everything's
new with you?
Down with you. Yeah. I've been printing off a whole bunch of bases for that orc army that I keep talking about. Yeah, I printed off like, what was it, 50 or 60 resin bases of varying sizes. So I really want to make this army really cool. So that's been consuming a lot of my time because I've just been like repeating the prints and then, kicking them out, batch painting them, and then, keeping it going. So been doing a lot of that stuff. Trying to get ready for when is this coming out? Whatever the next video that I'm putting out is going to be painting that orc army. So,
Ooh,
yeah,
very
I'm
good.
getting super orky this month. Like, we're nearing the end of Orktober, and I'm going to finish it strong by painting an entire army. So, pretty excited.
Much respect for that. Yeah. So, yeah, I love that feeling if a print goes well and you can just take off the bottle and tell your printer to just do it again, keep on going. Like, a lot of the time-consuming stuff is just setting up the runs, you know?
Yeah, actually, with the new printer that I got, the that Mono, it's like it's a way cheaper printer than the one I have, but the plate attaches in a different way and it levels in a different way. So I've only had to level it since I've gotten it now twice. Just hit print and go, and it's been, I don't know, it's just been working for me. So I've been feeling pretty good about that and getting a lot of prints out.
Nice. So I actually don't really like resin bases because I don't just the way they print. Like, I feel like they're brittle.
Really? Okay.
And I don't know. It's a mental hang up for me. Do you print them flat on the print bed, or do you give them support just flat on the print bed? Yeah. And do you have a problem, like, you know, kind of scraping them off the print bed without damaging them?
I can see how you would, but in my case, these are like scrap metal bases. So there's piles of scrap metal overhanging the tops. So I can just pry them right up and they just pop off. But yeah, I
mean, we were just talking about how I have a thing about not liking an imperfect base edge, and you know, I don't know if there's a way to like sand if there's like a big old chip in the base, you know. But if you're getting good prints off them and it's working for you, that's awesome.
I think I just figured out what those sanding sticks are probably good for.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, those the super large grit ones, like, yeah, you could sand down some resin pretty quickly. Wear a respirator.
Yeah, go through all the different colors to get just the perfect sand job on it. Yeah. Yeah, if you want some colored variety packs, come on over and I'll hook you up with some.
That's perfect. Yeah, I totally get what you mean by like the imperfect bases and not liking resin because it does seem a little brittle. But I suppose it just kind of depends on the style of base that you're printing. You know, like these all have like a little pad on the bottom that is supposed to come off. But, you know, when the rims are black and everything else is painted up, I mean, you can't tell the difference. And yeah, I was surprised because I printed out a few just to test the printer out. And I just liked them so much that I went for it on the rest of the army. I even took some of the files that I got into Blender, stretched them to make ovals, and, you know, put shapes in there to make flying bases for all the Defcoptas that I have. And I kind of like fixed up the stretching, put some more texture in there, and like printed that out. And it was just, I don't know, I just kind of went down a rabbit hole in the hobby, and came out good.
That sounds fun. Blender is a good skill to have if you like to print stuff. So,
well, when I was in college, I took a year of 3D modeling. Yeah, and at the time, it was kind of like, this is cool and pointless, but they went toward my credits, you know, for the stuff I was doing. And it was a good time. I haven't used that skill in 10 years. So, like, it's slowly coming back, but it's been a minute.
Yeah, that's coming back around strong. That's a useful thing to have right there.
Yeah, I never thought I'd actually get back into it. It's a weird thing. This hobby, for me, in like the last few years especially, is the culmination of all of these weird random skills that I've picked up in my entire life and is now being put to use. And yeah.
Oh, no, that's an awesome point. Like, and it continually amazes me, like, how all of our different backgrounds assist us in some weird way in this hobby. You know, old Black Magic Craft Jeremy with his
Right,
construction
exactly.
background, and weird classes that you've taken, and, you know, my chemistry background isn't directly useful, but sometimes indirectly. It's nice to have, and yeah, this hobby can really bring together a ton of different stuff, and, you know, even working on a printer or whatever, like, it's nice to know which way to turn a screw to make it tighten and loosen, you know?
Yeah, it's a good skill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's mostly it for my updates. I painted a bunch more orcs, and yeah, not too bad. It's just, like I said, it's been an orky month so far.
Nice. I'm also in 3D printing land myself here. There's a couple of Kickstarters that are either live now or very soon will be live for friends. So
do you wanna mention that one in particular?
Sweet. Absolutely, yeah. So as we're recording, Pit Fighters is live, and that's from 3D Printing Pro Greg. And that's kind of a small scale game. I actually haven't read the rules for the game, but the models are awesome. And I don't know if they come with resin bases or not, but I printed mine off and put them right on plastic bases, because that's what I do. But yeah, that's a fun one. Like these 3D printing projects and Kickstarters and Patreons and stuff. Again, it's interesting to see like the skills that the, you know, various people are bringing to it. And I know some of the big ones, they're very good artists, but they don't actually print very often. Like some of these, like I assume Artisan Guild has a printer now, but for the first several months where they were becoming a very successful Patreon, Artisan Guild, like they had their computer and no printer, and
really,
you know, people across the world were telling them that their prints were coming out awesome and stuff. But anyway, this Kickstarter, Pit Fighters from Greg at 3D Printing Pro, it's interesting because he's not the one actually doing the sculpting, but he's the one designing the characters and then providing, you know, multiple rounds of feedback on the sculpture. But his expertise now is in just printing hundreds and thousands of minis, and he's the guy who actually does supporting for companies like Artisan Guild. Yeah. And so this cat, I tell you, so when he's designing a mini, like the things he's thinking about are, where do the supports go? What regions are going to have trouble printing out right? What places are going to be fragile? You know, could we reposition something to have fewer islands so that it supports easier? And it's kind of fun to work on those models because they do come out a little bit different. You know, he's at the artistic direction and like how deep are grooves and how prominent are features. So it's kind of fun to look at those models because, you know, the scars on models are deeper. A lot of things are just more pronounced so that it will show up very clearly when it's printed. Whereas if it's just done entirely on a computer screen, well, you know, someone working, you know, doing the sculpting on a computer screen can zoom way in on a 27-inch monitor and kind of lose perspective.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. I should probably mention that we're not being sponsored or paid. These are just friends of ours that have things going on that we want to mention.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to this month, actually. And so shortly after that, Danny 3D Printed Tabletop has a Kickstarter coming out, The Lost Adventures Volume 2, and that's, I don't know, kind of like a D&D module stuff, but very whimsical, fun, a lot of like townsfolk characters as well as some monsters and stuff. And I've got a couple of really fun, like, animal characters for that one, like a friendly turtle and then a fishing cat.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah, I've actually seen the stuff for that, and I'm excited for that one. Yeah, it's looking real good.
Yeah, so I finished doing my prints for that one today, and I'm going to be painting those up soon. But we're kind of in a little bit of a Kickstarter phase here. We're helping out some friends, doing some promotions for some cool stuff that some friends are up to. One, because it is fun stuff, but two, because they're our friends and we want them to succeed and doing good stuff for the hobby. So
for sure, yeah. It's nice to see, like, one person on their channel can hit that point where, ideas can really come to life, Like, if it's drawing, you hire a sculptor or whatever the concepting is, coming up with all this stuff. It's just really cool that just in, I guess, today's world, if you have an idea, you can pursue it and do something like that and be successful. It's fantastic.
Casey, I had an idea, and I'm gonna do, like, this isn't cool what I'm about to do. I'm just gonna say I had an idea. It's possibly gonna be a Kickstarter, and I had it like yesterday. So this is just, someday people may, like, in the future they may listen to this old episode and be like,
it was
the day before
talking about
Brent and Casey recorded episode 17 of Paint Bravely the podcast, Brent had this idea.
Lay it on me.
Well, no. It's too early to say what the idea is.
So you're just going to tease it to everybody listening, and then you're going to tell me afterwards. Okay, I got you. That's fine.
Yeah, if you're nice, I'll tell you afterwards. So that's just a tease. Moving on.
Do you want to get into... is there anything else before we move on to the art of eBay?
Jazz has sent me a cool art box with a bunch of fun minis in there, and that's another project I'm working on. Another fun product initiative of a fellow YouTuber and cool guy that we want to see succeed.
And
so
succeeding,
that'll be a video on the Goobertown Hobbies channel eventually.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I'm looking forward to that. Sweet box.
Yeah, that's the new stuff with me here.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that does it for new stuff. All right, so the art of eBay. How often do you go onto eBay and browse models?
Recently, not often. A few years ago, a lot.
Now, is this because, I don't know, 3D printing has come into play? Like, you're getting that fix a little more often?
Partially it's because my collection has grown and I haven't felt like I had any justification at all for buying more used minis to put into the collection. So partially it's because I've maybe phased out of that or matured out of that, or just no more storage space to be buying random minis on eBay. But
okay.
Yeah, there was definitely a phase in my life where I was, like stressed at work or something, pop over to eBay, see what new, like, Sisters of Battle were up there. And this was, Metal Sister, or maybe Dark Eldar, Yeah, there was a definite phase I went through of I don't know, maybe a year or so where that was one of my, like, time-wasting websites, eBay, looking for models. Telling myself that they were going to go to good use, and some of them since then have gone to good use. Not a particularly big percentage, but some of them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep doing the roulette.
How about you? How often do you go on eBay looking for deals?
I don't know, like 4 or 5 times a day. Yeah, it's still in the time wasting category. Like, if I'm pulling my phone out, like, I'd much rather go on eBay than, like, Facebook. I can scroll for days on eBay. It's kind of the same thing, and you never know what's going to pop up. But yeah, I mean, I go on all the time. Yeah, my collection, I don't know that if it's ever going to necessarily be big enough. I can see running out of room, and I'm pretty close to getting there. Like, I've got some shelf space, that I purchased recently, but yeah, that's gonna fill up pretty quick. I mean, I'm also the kind of person that sells models on eBay, so it's kind of a wash if if you could say that. So I don't know if that's necessarily a concern, but I can see it being a concern. I don't know. I can't believe you're just not buying models. It's killing me.
No, I mean, we all go through phases with what our, time-wasting website
yeah.
is. I had a much longer phase where it was the Reddit for A Song of Ice and Fire, reading all
sure.
the Game of Thrones theories, but it's been 10 years since the last book, so I've read all the theories now, so there's no need to go back there. And to a degree, it's a little bit the same with eBay. Like in my life, I have now scored many scores in terms of used mini deals, and we'll talk about that. But just in recent history, I have not spent a lot of time on eBay at all.
Well, let's see then. Figure we could kind of go into that history a little bit of like how long have you been using it, and then start to kind of pick out some of the cooler things that you may have found, and then possibly getting into the territory of like what to do on eBay. Okay.
Sure. So when you are shopping on eBay, are you looking for specific models, specific armies, specific games, or just deals in general? Like what are you hunting for?
For the most part, it's deals in general. Occasionally it is for an army, and especially when I started, it was like one army. I was only looking for Eldar back in, 2000 or whatever. So yeah, it used to be that, and I would like set stuff up. This is before pictures on eBay too, which is crazy. I made some mistakes. But yeah, like I started doing that, just army specific stuff. I would have searches set aside, and then now, of course, because of the channel, I pretty much just browse everything under the title Warhammer, and whatever is good and cheap is good for me. So as long as I don't own too many of that thing, or it's something generic like just a Space Marine, then I'm pretty much looking for it.
Yeah. I mean, you are unique in that you have a channel, a business that completely justifies just going and buying any, Warhammer mini that's cheap. That's content for you. You have the perfect justification for doing that. A lot of people behave in a similar way without having that justification, but there are other ways to justify, going on eBay, 100%, cruising for deals, buying more minis. To a degree, like I really value having a deep bits box, like having a variety of minis that I can use as backdrop characters or for bits, or for the day you just need to paint a Kroot or whatever the case may be,
Kroot,
Oh, thanks, buddy. But no, seriously, like part of the motivation that I had when I got back into the hobby was like one of the things on my shopping list was get a decent bits box. And there was a time like early on when I was just getting back into the hobby for the first time since, high school essentially, that I would even go and search for like Warhammer bits. And there were a couple of auctions that I didn't end up buying that I looked at really seriously that were, kind of leftover sprues from, just all the extra bits that somebody didn't use from their collection. And I, put in some bits. I didn't win a lot of those, but for me, that was something I wanted. It was just an assortment of bits. If I need, to put a big gun on somebody or some spikes or, who knows what you might want, head swaps or what have you. because I mean, what we're talking about here is just going on and looking for deals, and what are the motivations for buying something that you don't have a clear purpose for,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, I think we like to tell ourselves stories and, you know, justify that hunt, if you will. You know, I see a squad of, we'll just call them Croots. And, you know, there are 10 of them and they're $10. I don't need,
It's not
I
a
don't
bad
need
price.
10 Croots. But I can
No?
easily say, maybe I'm gonna start a new army.
Okay. So in the context of Casey is going to build a Tau army, in the context of like Casey actually thinks that Casey is going to build a Tau army, I think then it starts to make more sense. Like, yeah, you know, maybe a game would come where I'd actually want to play with a squad of Kroot like that. Yeah, sure. Like, maybe you're shopping for everything except like some of the metal drones, which you are just cannot be bothered with putting a metal drone on a flight stick, you know. So maybe just on your shopping list is anything from the Tau army except from a couple of particularly heinous units, and there's your justification right there.
Just because we're on the topic of Tau. Yeah.
Oh.
So not too long ago, I was on a local Facebook group, and we'll get into Facebook groups a little bit, but I just want to get into this a little. I bought an airbrush from a painter friend, and then somebody else noticed that, you know, it was me buying this stuff, and the dude was like, "Oh man, so if you're interested, like I've got all this Tau stuff and it's busted." I'm like, broken Tau? Yeah, I'm into that. So I spent $50 on a bunch of Tau stuff, and then it kind of got out a little bit. Somebody sent me one of the old metal Shadow Suns. I don't know if you've seen that model. It's really cool.
I'm pretty sure it's in my roulette box,
Nice,
actually. Yeah.
It's pretty nice. Yeah, and a subscriber actually sent that to me, and I still haven't painted it. It's on the list, but I have all this other Tau stuff now. And, you know, I saw that Kroot today, and I was just thinking, like, you know, it's not a bad idea. But that's the kind of justification, right, that you can have. Yeah, I found one thing, I found another thing. Pieces start to align, right? And then all of a sudden, I've convinced myself that I'm a Tau player, and I have almost no actual interest in doing that, but here I am at like 500-600 points of Tau.
Oh, you can do better.
I know, and I will.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to you know, get into that mode of well, I've got a couple of Guild Ball players, maybe I'll get into that someday, or like, you know, those Mech Warriors are pretty cool and they've been popping up in my searches a lot recently, and we can always find reasons to shop. So you know what, we're not here to rag on anybody for wanting cool models. Maybe we should transition into how to get those cool models cheap.
I like that. Yeah,
that's what you're here for.
I mean, if we're talking about it, that's usually, that is probably the biggest question that I get, is how do I find the models at the prices that I do? Because I like to say, you know, I bought this on eBay, it was X amount, whatever, and people don't tend to believe me. I don't know why. I believe me. I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I can totally see that. Yeah. Any YouTube thing where you said, I started with this material and it cost me this much money, like, people will literally today, on a 2-year-old video about building a storage case for minis, somebody said, yeah, you took, you know, $75 in supplies and $600 in tools. Like I was also living in a home at the time, and that cost a lot of money too. And you can see I was using electricity, and they don't just give that out for free, you know. Sorry, calm down.
No,
calm down.
It's fine. I understand.
Yeah. There's no way you bought that Kroot for $10. The box of those Kroot is $30, and I do not believe that you found a way to get them for $10. Well, I tried to get them for $10, and I could only find $25.
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to make of that? This is
What's
unrealistic.
funny is the last video that I made was about orc brutes, right? Iron Jaws orc brutes. And in the kind of intro to that video, I did talk about kind of the highs of brutes, generally where they sit, and the lows. So there, there's a price range. I'm saying this is what I bought them for. If you want some, look for these prices. Don't pay more than this per model. And if you go above this number, buy a new box. If you can't find them and you need them or something. And I thought that was a good way to kind of get around that a little bit. Like just giving that range of here are the possibilities. Here's what I've seen,
Yeah, I think you can get away with a lot if you just say like, here seems to be the typical going price. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's start with the things that you do when you type in ebay.com or you go on the app.
This is what I'm here for. You're the expert, Casey.
So there are a couple of different things that I like to do. I usually use my phone because it's easy notifications. You can bid. You can do everything on your phone, pretty much, that you can do on the desktop version. But specifically because of push notifications, that's why I like to use the phone. So say you just want to search for Warhammer and you want any models under $10. You just type in Warhammer and it comes up, right? Now what I like to do is go through all of the filters, filter out new models, anything like that. Because if you're on eBay, you could buy new models, but generally, like you're
Right.
looking for something used that's probably been painted.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a problem with stripping models. It doesn't bother me. I know it does for some people, but I look for the ones that have already been painted. So fully assembled, painted, probably a single model, that kind of thing. And you can go as deep as you want. But the important thing is that you set the price, say you want a $10 or under model. You want to set it for like $3 to $10 so that you don't get any of the weird, 99-cent stuff. Because there's just garbage at kind of the bottom of the barrel. But I like to do that, $3 to $10, and then I turn on notifications so that every single day when something new comes up into that category, I get a notification on my phone and it says, oh, for this search, 175 items have been added. And I can scroll through only the new items that have been added in that section and throw those in my watch list or buy them if they're buy it now or whatever. And I think that's probably the best way to do it, because if something pops up, say you got 5 minutes, you can scroll through 100, 200 listings, just kind of overlooking everything. And I pretty much guarantee you at least one or two things are going to pop out. And obviously if you want something more specific, like a faction, army, whatever, you can throw that in your filters. So that's kind of the easiest way to do that. And it's right at your fingertips in your pocket with those notifications. That's the important bit.
Yeah. And so you get one daily notification? Is that how you have it set up?
I have like a main search that I've got specific filters for the things I'm looking for. And then that's just the thing that comes up every day.
Okay. Now I'm curious. Now that actually sounds like a really good idea and a lot of fun. I'm tempted
is fun
now,
because it's like the stuff that's popping up is basically what you're looking for, or else it won't pop up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The minimum price above 99 cents is also genius. I like that because there's a lot of like somebody selling, one head with the starting, or just the shenanigans of selling anything with a starting price of 99 cents. But
yeah, so I just avoid those altogether because that's annoying.
Okay, so something I used to do a lot was search for lots, like Warhammer lot would be kind of my keywords. So where I was trying to get in on that value of someone just selling a box of crap they didn't
Right.
want anymore, that's basically all of my success on Craigslist or you know, eBay or whatever has been through somebody just selling a box of stuff they don't want
Hmm.
anymore. They say it's a Warhammer lot, and you can see that there's like one full squad of Space Marines and then just like a pile of stuff
Hmm.
in there. If you zoom in on the picture, like, yeah, there's a Terminator arm. Pretty sure that's part of a land speeder. Okay, that's definitely a Dark Elf, you know. Um, and you know, I find if it's just like a box of stuff that they don't really total up the value
True.
a lot
Yeah.
of times, and so they do the undervaluing
Yeah.
for you, and especially if it's like, you know, nasty pictures and it's hard to tell even what all's in there. Like if you can do the calculation, okay, it's definitely worth at least this much, and there might be some actually cool stuff underneath those
Hmm.
ugly bits, you know. So when you do notifications, do you look for any of the package deals of lots, or I don't know what the other good keywords would be, but
Like lot is a good keyword. That's definitely something that people use all the time. There's also, you can sort that. So you can sort by single miniature, you can sort by squad, that's like 5 to 10. And then you can sort by lot or bulk. So you can set up a filter for bulk, and it's those kinds of listings. And actually, weirdly, right now, I think that's kind of like things are kind of shifting to that. Single models are getting a little more expensive, probably just due to the popularity of Games Workshop and Warhammer right now. But like bulk lots, especially, are starting to go a little more often. I've not personally had too much luck in those. Like I think there's too much random factor. Like it's fun because you're not 100% sure what you're gonna get. So I think for most people, like that's perfectly valid and an awesome way to go. Like for me, I'm still looking for some specific things. You know, I need to know what's in that box before I buy it. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, for me, I definitely know that one, it was a value thing. Two, I was at a phase where I was building up my bits collection,
Yeah.
and so to a degree, anything was
Hmm.
good. Fill up that bits box with more stuff. Cool, cool, cool. But also there was that element of it being a mystery box. You never know what you're gonna get. There could be that Shadow
Right.
Sun Tau guy under the
Yeah.
nasty, yeah. That he could be in there somewhere. You could get a fun little surprise. Like, who knows? Maybe there are a few packs of magic cards from '97 down at the bottom of that
But
box.
you
Who
never know.
knows? Like,
You really never know.
yeah. So that's interesting though that you have graduated to not being interested in the bulk and the
Hmm.
surprise and going for single minis. I mean, it makes
Yeah, I
sense.
mean, and that's only purely out of wanting to run the channel. Like if I wasn't
Right.
doing it at all, I would still be buying those.
So I do want to have put a little intermission in here just to talk about we have been talking, you know, entirely Games Workshop so far this episode, which happens a lot. I mean, that's
Yeah.
something about our hobby is that the single biggest company is Games Workshop in the mini painting realm, and it's hard to get away from.
Yeah.
But do you ever search for minis that are not Warhammer?
Yeah, I do. I usually look for like the Warm Horde stuff. Honestly, for bits. Actually, that's where I'm looking for bits because they're unique, right? They're not something you're gonna see on a GW model. Um, so I look for that stuff. I've done some like older, like pewter manufacturers type searches. It's just not very often. Um, and I mean, as I don't know, I guess as sad as it actually is, if I don't paint a Games Workshop model on my channel, that video will tank. So it sucks because I like a lot of other models and I like all these things, but if it's not something that people recognize immediately, it's very hit and miss. Like I've had some okay luck with
Sure.
some things, some D&D things. Um but not very often, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that. Do get that. Um, and there is an issue with, just because Games Workshop is the biggest, that just the sheer number of listings,
Mm-hmm.
there are going to be more for Warhammer stuff. And so if you want to have 100 new posts in your criteria range every day to sift through, you're not going to get that for Guild Ball,
Right. You might now.
Easy.
Sorry, I feel bad. Actually, I was just recently looking at, I think it was Confrontation. Like, I don't know if it's still being made or not. I just saw a few of them, and then it kind of like went down that rabbit hole on eBay, and a bunch more popped up, and I'm just like, okay, there's some cool stuff in here. So that was definitely, I was recently looking at that. I think I have a few of them saved too.
Yeah, that's not to say there aren't really great niches in there. And I often get questions like, hey, where do I buy or sell minis? And eBay really is the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do, there's Facebook groups and there's Craigslist, but in terms of the biggest marketplace for buyers and sellers for used stuff, it really is eBay.
Well, and let me put it like this too. Even if you find a store, like the Warp Crate guys, right? There's another one coming on top of my head. It's Troll Trader. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. But even if they have independent websites that deal in buying and selling used miniatures, guaranteed they have an eBay store.
Sure.
So it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And certainly when we are searching for minis on eBay, there's a couple of stores of businesses that you can recognize the little number codes they put next to their minis every time that they're selling. Frontline Gaming, and there's a couple others that are very recognizable. You recognize the table that they're taking a picture of their minis on and all that. But anyway, where I was going with that is, if you are into something more niche than Warhammer, it is going to be eBay is going to be your best bet. If you're looking for, Malifaux or Guild Ball or Confrontation or whatever, eBay probably is your best bet for that. But there still won't be anywhere near as many listings as for Warhammer, as makes sense. But
yeah. So we're not trying to like leave anything out. I think it's just, we probably both have just more experience with buying and selling Games Workshop than any other brand.
Yeah, I mean, more people can relate to it for sure. But and you were talking about going down a little niche rabbit hole of one company or game or another, and those certainly do exist on eBay. Just in terms of pawing through a big list of opportunities, the list is going to be much smaller the more niche you go. Yeah.
Well, and something that I did notice is that the more niche it is, or maybe not the more niche, but if it's fairly to the side of Games Workshop, like I was saying, the Confrontation stuff, it tends to be a lot cheaper. If you go really niche, like something I probably can't even think of because it's so niche, then you're definitely going to hit like huge spikes in price, just from production standpoints and all that.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point, that just Games Workshop stuff does basically retain its value pretty well. Like, it does have a very real secondhand market, and part of that is because it is the big dog, Yeah. I bet you were mentioning the market for Guild Ball probably fluctuates a lot, especially right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of the in terms of the secondhand market, Games Workshop may be even bigger than it is for like the first-hand market. I
wonder.
Oh man, that's almost a whole other topic
right?
here, but we're justifying why we're almost accidentally defaulting to talking about buying Tau and Space Marines instead of talking about Malifaux goblins or whatever. Like, if you're looking for used Malifaux goblins, it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
They are spindly and they break, and you don't want to buy them secondhand. No,
Right.
that's not why. But
just taking a dig at them at the same time. Yeah.
no, if you're buying secondhand, you want big, beefy Space Marines that cannot break. Some idiots could have melted them with spray paint, but they do not break.
There is something to be said about Space Marines on the secondhand market. Like,
oh, sure.
They look brand new. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I bought a fair few. Yeah.
Do you want to get into your extra trick here?
The extra
tell people
fun
your
trick?
main event, your main
So
secret sauce.
The secret to eBay is sniping. No, it's not. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, do that. That's a real.
No, I know.
I mean, that's not even a secret. That's just best practice.
No, it is. I do it all the time. No, I mean using it like a bot to do it for you.
Sure. Because otherwise I'd forget. I'd like start watching
most
like
of
an
them.
episode
Most
or
of them charge
like,
money.
It'd be like the auction would be like done for 47 minutes. I'd be like, I missed it. What did it go for? That's all right. That's all right. I didn't want it that bad anyway.
Yeah. Now, most of the ones that I've looked into,
if you're not going to use
charge.
a bot, at least set a timer. Yes. So that you'll like get to your computer 5 minutes beforehand.
Well, see, remember the secret is in your pocket. It's in your pocket. You get the notification. Set a timer. Or just bid what you're actually willing to pay and hope for the best.
Sadly, that is the incorrect move.
I know.
I've done it before because like I get all, noble about it. Like, no, I know what I'm willing to pay. This is what I'm willing to pay, and this is what number I'll put in.
Yeah.
But if I had put that number in 30 seconds before closing time, I would have ended up paying less for the same item. So
100%. A good rule to follow. Don't ever put your bid in until the last 2 seconds, okay? You will lose money if you put your bid in beforehand because someone else is going to look at it. They're going to think about it. They're going to think about it some more. They've had days to think about it, and then they're going to outbid you by a quarter. And you're going to be sitting there like, great.
Don't give them a chance to justify spending more.
Exactly. You need to take that opportunity for thought away from someone. Because a lot of the times, especially if it's an auction, you're talking about impulse buying. So take that option away from them. Make them second guess themselves by bidding for the last few seconds.
Right.
Yeah. That's not the secret we were talking about, by the way. That just
no. I mean, that's just common sense. That's a little bit of game theory and just an ounce of experience.
Yeah, got screwed up.
Always snipe. That is.
Yeah, you don't want to get into it.
You don't have to like it. You don't have to think it's right, but it is correct.
Yeah.
So what is the secret sauce, Casey? It's time to give up your
big old fat fingers.
Explain.
All right, so there's a website called fatfingers.com. Now, the funny thing is, I've been doing eBay for a long time. Like I said, during the text-only days of eBay. And I was buying Warhammer back then, right? But yeah, a couple years ago, somebody was like, don't you use fatfingers.com? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Turns out it's a fantastic little website that you type in whatever you're searching for. So if it's Warhammer, you're on their site, you type it in and they go, oh yeah, there's matches for Warhammer on eBay. And you can bring it up. And what Fat Fingers does, like the name implies, is that when someone is putting up a listing, their fat fingers mistyped the words. So when you type the correct thing, those results don't actually come up if you spell it correctly. So fatfingers.com will look for every iteration of that misspelled word and bring that up in the same search. And you will find some gems because no one else is seeing them. So Brent and I went. Yes, exactly. Brent and I went on to fatfingers.com in our spare time, and we did some searching, some soul searching on eBay. You want to just start running down the list.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, I was talking to Casey beforehand, and this may be the most preparation I've ever done for an episode of Paint Bravely, the podcast.
Yeah.
Just looking for funny misspellings of like common Warhammer words. So we're going to start off, let's just start off with Warhammer iterations. We have Warhammy, Warhammer, Warhammer with just the one M, which is a fairly common misspelling. Like
Warhammer.
You see that a lot. Like even before you knew about fatfingers.com, you were searching Warhammer with one M.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. A little bit later in the list, I have Blood Angles, which again, like every time I spell angle or angel just in real life, like I do know the difference, but I think real hard about it whenever I see one of those words. But I've gotten to a point where I can get it right with a little bit of thought. But a lot of people selling Blood Angels online think it's spelled angles. And you gotta be prepared to get a sweet deal off of those misspellers.
Gotta get them blood angles.
You don't have to know how to spell angels to own and get tired of and sell your son's blood angles. Yeah. So anyway, we got Warhammer with one M. We got Warhammer. We have Earhammer.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good hammer. Warhammer. Hammer,
yeah.
I like that one. And Warhammer.
It's a good band name. Yeah.
Me being me, I got Dar Eldar and Dark Elda. I mean, I had to search. And I did search for the more modern Drukhari, and there were a lot of misspellings of Drukhari, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But the only funny one was Dirk Hair. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I could get the Dirk Hair. No models actually. Those were battle cards from like a wrong edition. But
yeah.
All right, your turn, Casey. What did you get?
All right. So I only searched a few of them. So Lizardmen was Laird Men, which I thought was pretty funny. Space Marines were Spac Marines. Now, I do like that one. I just want to call them that from now on, too.
I like that one because they misspelled both parts of the word. They misspelled space and Marines.
They don't know how to find the letter E. You know what? It's probably just someone's letter E on their keyboard.
No, the E is silent. They do not know about silent E's, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess thinking about it in their head, like space, C, something.
Okay, so we are making fun of people who have fat fingers and misspell words for expensive consumer products that they at one point bought for themselves. And this is an interesting situation in life where you can literally take advantage of people stupider than you. Yeah, or less proofreading ability than you.
Proofreading ability is probably where I would stick it.
Yeah, no, there's some in here that are just obvious typos that like they know the word. They know the word. Like they know it's not Drew Care. They know. Like
yeah. Well, so I've had this happen to me before. The next one on my list was for Nurgle. Right, Murgle, Burgle, and Nerdle.
Those are good.
Good. But Burgle, specifically, if I'm on my phone and I type the word Nurgle, it will autocorrect to Burgle.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So some of this is like autocorrecting.
I mean,
autocorrect has done some terrible ducking things to me in the past, but interesting.
Yeah. You try and type the word duck. I saw a duck at the park. I gave a duck something, and it goes the opposite, and you're just screwed.
But you've trained it.
Yes.
Mine is still trying to make me a better person.
Oh. Yeah, I shot Siri long ago.
All right. Let me take over here. What do we got? I got Imperial Guard. Imperial and Imperial. Yeah, that's not Imperial's kind of funny. We got Forg World.
That's a good one.
Someone was selling Yeah, someone's selling a lot of the Imperial Armor books from Forge World.
Interesting.
Okay, this next one might be my personal favorite. I got a couple of high ones on that list, but Carved World Eldar I liked.
The Carved World.
Carved World.
That's pretty good. I like that.
There was an Eldari warlock from the Carved World Eldar that I don't think it was actually even that good of a deal, but it could have been, because no one else is searching for Carved World, I'll tell you that.
That's true enough.
They might be looking for Eldari. They also had Eldar, Eldari, and Warlock in the title, so like somebody probably found it off of those keywords. But
yeah, so something that eBay has tried to do is that when you're setting up your auction, they're looking for everything else to be filled in, like including a barcode if you have it, so that they can show the exact item that you are selling. So that kind of kills fat fingers a little bit sometimes. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, you still find some good stuff. And I've found some pretty nice stuff not even that long ago. I bought like 30 or 40 holy crap, corn blood, the little guys. You know what I'm talking about.
Thirsters?
I want to say thirsters, but bloodthirsters are the big ones. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Corn demons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's screaming right now. I can hear it.
Move on. Or we could keep talking about it. It's the blood secretors, blood. No. Yeah, we could just talk about it for the next like 3 minutes.
I love how you just screaming like at quick us. No, flip, like, nope, we're definitely gonna antagonize that one person screaming at him. That's a good call. Your phone's not doing a good job helping you be a better person.
No, it's not.
Anyways, yeah, I bought like 40 of them for, I don't know, $15 because it was an auction and it was misspelled and nobody else saw it. It's like, yeah, I mean, sweet.
eBay is always going to try to find, all the possible buyers for a seller, but stuff falls through the cracks, and that's what you're there for.
Yeah.
Sweep that right up. Yeah.
I should mention that it's probably the last place that I go, and it's kind of if I'm just, I don't know, shooting in the dark, because you do have to be a little specific about what you're typing. And personally, because I'm not, when I go onto eBay, I tend to veer off and just rely on my filters and notifications to get me there. But like I said, I have used it and it's been great. So, have fun with it, I would say. Try it out and see if you like it.
Yeah, I mean, if you were, shopping for a particular model or a particular army or a particular game or, company or whatever, I think this could be really useful if you just had like a couple of keywords that you needed permutations of.
Yeah.
But if you are just looking, if you're going to all the effort to type in Forge World and then Craft World and then Space Wolves and then like, I had fun doing that today just to come up with some funny words, but like that's maybe not the best use of your time. You might save a few dollars, but at what cost? At what cost,
Well, to mitigate that time waste a little bit, because it actually brings all of those search terms into eBay, you can save that search on eBay and set notifications on those if you want. So you don't actually have to go back to Fatfinger after you've done that initial search.
Oh, that's a heck of a Saturday to set up all those notifications, but in the end, it's worth it. Yeah. It's a heck of a Saturday.
Yeah. That would take forever. One of my favorite searches to do is like even $10 or, whatever I'm like, if I have $20 in my pocket. Yeah. I'll just go like buy it now, $20, free shipping, sort by lowest price.
Yeah.
Like I have found some awesome stuff just completely out of the blue. It's like, oh, here's a $100 model for $20. Like, yeah, I'll pay $20.
Yeah, I have gone through phases where I've looked at buy it nows and just searched by like, newest. Yeah. Because sometimes you'll get somebody who really undervalues what they have or puts in a typo or makes a mistake, and probably my best eBay purchase was from that.
Yeah.
I found a Sisters of Battle decently sized army for $50. And this was a good deal. There's a couple tanks in there, several squads, a bunch of characters, and it was just somebody had a buy it now price that was
Oh man.
poorly thought out or wrong or a mistake or hey, somebody's loss is my gain, so I bought it now. And
That's a tough one. Like for the person selling it, because they meant 500 or they meant to start the auction at 50, not buy it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean it's in the like user agreements and all these things. You need to make sure that these things are correct before you put them up, because if someone buys it, you don't have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, and when I did, press buy it now on that, like thinking to myself, like, this was probably a mistake. I wonder, like, I was really expecting them to find a way out of it. And so I read through a little bit of the policies, like, is it worth just taking like a big strike on your eBay account or whatever, like, and if it had been me, I would have seriously considered just like making a new eBay account or whatever, taking a strike or whatever the repercussions were. But hey, they sent it out. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can cancel an auction after the fact. I think you can you just straight up refund them and say like, oh, something happened, or you just make some reason up or whatever. I'm assuming this was a little while ago.
This was a couple of years back. Yeah, maybe like 4 years back.
Sure what they had. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there were ways. There's always something you can do. You
just not sending it.
There were plenty of like easy lies they could have told, like my basement burned down and the product no longer exists or whatever.
I got robbed.
Like,
sweet.
They probably thought of like, okay, how much effort is it to get out of this first? Like, just get rid of, send it off and move on with my life. But
you like the first thing you mentioned was that you got 2 tanks. Like those should have been $50 a piece.
Oh yeah, and this was Sisters of Battle were all metal models for a long time, and they were stupidly priced. I mean, Games Workshop stuff is expensive anyway, but this was like $90 for a squad of 10 sisters.
Yeah.
Like just like line troops. I mean, it was stupid, and I don't know if I ever did the full value of that, but it was a mistake that they made.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're in it, though. That's why we play this game.
Yeah, and I don't want to like get too down on like the sorrows of people who make mistakes selling their Sisters of Battle on eBay. Like, let's try to be upbeat of we're predators, we're wolves, we're searching for those sweet deals, and when we find a sweet deal, we're not going to feel bad about it. We're going to celebrate getting so many sisters for $50. Like, that's
well, and look, like, I've screwed up and screwed myself over on eBay. Okay,
see,
it's like it's totally happened to me. Like, I used to buy and sell Magic cards a lot, and I've totally done that. Like, I just sold $120, Jace the Mind Sculptor for like $6. Yeah, it's a real feel bad situation.
Is that your favorite story? Yeah, that's pretty funny. Like,
yeah, it's pretty good. I did not feel good about it, but you know what? Hey, like, it happens.
Yeah, karma balances out. Hopefully,
yeah. I've recouped money. I've whatever. Yeah.
And on the other side of that is somebody who is having a great day.
100%.
And you just got to make sure that you don't beat yourself up and that their great day doesn't perfectly even out your bad day. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, back in the day when you had to pay extra for a tracking number, I lost a few cards not getting a tracking number, because it's like you can mail a card in a sleeve, in a protector, in a letter for like a quarter, or you can mail a single card for like $3. in a padded mailer with, tracking. So there's a lot of times I get cards in the mail that are, they're just in a letter. And it's like, I could just say it never got here.
Yeah.
I have no proof. Yeah, so that's happened to me a few times.
Sure. Yeah, that's a risk.
Yeah.
But other than, let's not talk about like actually cheating eBay. Let's talk about gaming the system in the perfectly reasonable way.
Yeah, I think keywords, setting up those filters, getting those notifications, there's something to be said about just being patient.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, patience is a big one. Like, the sweet deals you can't just log on a Saturday when you have time and instantly get a free deal. Like they take time sometimes. Oh, Gordon is purring. You can't be here if you're purring. Okay.
And everyone else is saying yes, he can.
No, he cannot. That screws with the audio editing. Like,
not as bad as my shaky table and squeaky microphone, so you're fine.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's because I keep Gordon out of here when he's not supposed to be here.
Right.
I let him stay once, and the purring was way too obvious. All right, let's get through a few more. I'm not done with you yet. Space Wolved, not Space Wolves, but Space Wolved. But that one actually, that could be correct because I think it was actually a converted predator. So I'm not sure if they were just being clever with their word choices.
It's possible, although that's not going to sell your converted predator very well.
No, it's not. Death Watch is Dwath Watch, or Death Watch spelled like Death Clock, Metalocalypse Death. We got Aseptus Mechanicus.
I like that one.
He like Aseptus Mechanicus. Yeah, all right. I can't remember what they were selling, but you might want to check that out.
Yeah.
It was still live as of today. Yeah.
Could have just been a septic tank clean out. That's it.
I saw you had a few Tyranids. I got Tyrannud. Tyanid. Trianid. I like that because like they were very poorly painted gargoyles, the Trianids. Like,
is that a play on words too then?
Like, you tried. Like,
tried it.
Gen Stealer, Geno Stealer. We got Grandfather Nukel.
Yeah.
You got your Stromcast, you got your Stomcast.
I see Stromcast, STROM, like all the time.
Stromcast,
so common.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's where the money's at.
Yeah.
Stromcast. Oh, and it was Age of Simgar, right?
Yeah. Age of Simgar, Stromcast Eternals. Every time. In fact, you could type that specifically and you'll probably get hundreds of listings of just Stormcast.
I like the ones that are, you have multiple misspellings in the same title. Like it's not one fat finger. It's just all of your fingers are fat.
Yeah.
And yeah. Okay. So we talked a little bit about how you can get something good on Buy It Now, but are you more auction, more Buy It Now?
I think I tend to be more Buy It Now because some of the stuff that pops up, like you say, is people just undervalue what they have. They don't really know what they have. So they throw it up for price and all of a sudden like, well, I'm buying a couple days ago, I was browsing eBay. I was actually doing it while I was shooting a video. So the footage is in my last video of me actually like finding this thing. I found a couple of pretty good models and it's like, okay, they're a little expensive, whatever. I scrolled down. I found a Celestial Hurricanum. That's like a Bretonian war machine kind of thing. Really cool model. And it was like $40. So I did a quick search and like they're super expensive. Now on GW's site, you can still get it for like 60, I think. But they might be sold out. I'm not sure. It's not that expensive, right? But on eBay, they go for a good amount of money. So I ended up looking at it again, kind of thinking about it. And then I and we'll get into this too. I made an offer and it got accepted and I actually bought it and it got here before the video came out. I didn't quite have time to put that in the video, but you know, it's a thing and I'm pretty stoked about it. But yeah, I like Buy It Now for that because you can kind of come across things that people just don't know what they have and they're just trying to get rid of it. You know, even if they do know what it is, they just don't care. So they're like, if I get $15 for this, that's cool. Just go straight into my PayPal. I can drop this box off, you know, wherever, call it a day. So they're just looking for that quick cash. It's pretty nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have never had anyone accept my offer on eBay. Not that I try often, but I've never had that experience. That's all right.
I would actually suggest that, like, if you are looking at Buy It Now stuff specifically, always, if there is a make an offer on there, then you need to make an offer.
Yeah.
I don't think I have ever gotten a model. What am I trying to say? Like I've been rejected before, but it's not like it ever hurt me. I've only ever saved money by using it, basically.
Yeah,
So
I wouldn't have gotten those Sisters of Battle if I had made an offer. I'm telling you
that's
that.
true. They would have realized that
A warrior
$50
knows when to strike. Yeah.
Yeah, you do need to know that. If you have $500 in Sisters of Battle and it says 50, you click that Buy It Now button and you worry about where that money's coming from after you click that button. Because you have 2 days.
True warrior takes action.
Yeah. You figure it out. Yeah, I do like to tell people, like, you know, if you have a specific type of set aside auction or Buy It Now, whatever, you know, if you're saying I want to spend $10, $20, like, save some money and put it aside for those kinds of things. Like, when a Sisters of Battle army for $50 comes up, you should just have some money set aside. You know, that way you're kind of always ready because you just never know.
That's your go bag. That's your...
Yeah, kind of. Like, I do save like a certain amount of, I usually have like $100 set aside. And like I've gotten a few pretty nice things that way of just, yeah, I had it, was ready to go. Strike.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so my best story is that Sisters of Battle Buy It Now. I've had a couple of auctions for mostly like old beat up 3rd edition Dark Eldar where I've gotten really good deals from an actual auction winning, because who wants beat up Dark Eldars other than me? But I was happy about it.
Yeah.
And of course your entire channel is your list of victories, but
Right.
do you have a particular favorite story that you want to tell, or like what's your proudest moment?
Okay.
Not
okay.
losing
Here's a good
Jace
one.
the Mind Stealer.
Right. Okay. So Skaven have the Warplock Giselles, right? That's like 2 rats on an oval, or, you know, 2 squares, whatever. Shooting a long rifle. You can go onto eBay right now, and even when I got these, you can't find them for basically less than $20. And that's like in bad condition, painted, all this stuff. You know, $15 to $20, and you'll find one. I bought, what was it, 25 of them for $26? Yeah. Something like that. So it's probably the best score I've ever gotten on eBay.
Wow, you cornered the market. You own all the Giselles. Yeah.
They're so cool.
Good work.
Too.
Okay. Hey, that's a fine, proud moment to have in your memories, you know? You're old and gray and on your deathbed and just thinking of the happy thoughts. Like,
that's how my grandkids Giselles used to come in pewter.
25 for 26.
Okay, Grandpa.
And even back then, that was not a lot of money.
Right. They were even on square bases.
Yeah. Back then, that was only, what, 3 burritos from Chipotle? Yeah.
Yeah. That was 3 Subway footlongs.
Now, those rat gunners had not been in production for 10 years at that point. They were collector's items.
Yeah.
Now, Billy, I'm giving these to you.
Don't fuck them up. Yeah. Man, I've thought about selling them too. Like seeing just, I don't know. Like I don't want to. I wanted this massive army of Giselles, right? Like, yeah, I want 25 Giselles that shoot 48 inches away or whatever it is.
Well, I remember, like a year and a half ago, you had a video where you cleaned up, what like 5 teams of them, something like that?
Yeah, that was from that set.
Yeah.
And I actually only painted one of them.
Okay.
The rest are like, because in that video I showed priming, I showed some highlighting, a couple things with the airbrush, and like that's literally all I did with those. They're still sitting in a drawer.
It happens.
Like not complete. Yeah, and it's sad. It's like the problem for me is I have, I don't know, 3,000 points of Skaven, so it's not like I need them. I can field a lot of Skaven, so it doesn't actually matter. But I do enjoy those models.
Yeah, I've got a little hankering for Skaven too. I've recently come into some Skaven as an incredibly generous gift, but their day may come. I think I've got a couple of Giselles myself. I don't got no 25 Giselles, but
you got 2 or 3.
Got a couple of teams in there. Yeah.
Yeah, man. All you need are a couple. They're good. It's good stuff.
That's right. All right. We're about to switch into my zone here. We're about to talk Craigslist. Unless you've got anything else to say about eBay.
eBay is fun, and you should try it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll say you can occasionally snag some really good deals. I would say on the whole that there are enough buyers and enough sellers so that things reach a standard price.
Yeah.
And like if you are, I mean, normally there is like a going rate for certain models and whether you're buying or selling. And that's one of the fairly nice things about eBay.
Yeah.
But normally that does preclude getting like stupidly good deals because there are enough potential buyers with eyes on it.
Well, and eBay does actually give you a number like, oh, this item with, similar keywords, right, from your title, your description, go for this price. So they're giving you that kind of median already, which kind of sucks, but it always depends, like if you browse eBay often enough, if you get that notification, you check it out, you spend even 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes every other day, or 15, 20 minutes a week in total, you'll start to see patterns. You'll start to remember prices on certain models, and you'll know without having to look into it whether something is actually worth just buying right then or saving for later, or whatever the case is. Like it's a weird kind of thing. You just start to feel like where things are going. How many bids are there? How many watchers are there? How much time is left? All of these things you just kind of take into account just from doing it over and over. You just understand. It's just like playing a game. You just get it after a while. So you just be patient. You will find something awesome.
Words of encouragement right there. But yeah, it's true. There are standard prices, but if you stick with it, you can get something that you recognize as a deal and save a few bucks and feel like pretty spiffy about yourself for a few days,
Yeah.
And it's time to go shopping again.
Every day.
Okay, so where I've actually gotten most of my stuff, most of my used purchases have come from Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
And Craigslist, of course, you have to be able to like drive to do the pickup for the most part. And so that means that you are shopping in a much smaller market. And I think that a lot of people have recognized that, online selling of their wares is the best way to get a reasonable price for their models. and
Yeah.
have them sell in a reasonable amount of time. So really not that many people sell their models on Craigslist.
Mhm.
And this is a situation where, I mean, maybe depending on where you live, you might be able to find non-GW games. But for the most part, it's going to be very rare that anything other than Warhammer pops up. I mean, set your alerts or whatever for if somebody does post Malifaux, but yeah,
Doesn't hurt. Yeah.
don't plan on it. Like, not even like, don't plan on not finding a good deal on used Malifaux figures on Craigslist. Don't plan on them ever showing up ever
Right.
at all.
Yeah, it's a good point.
For a couple of years, I had notifications set up for Warhammer on Craigslist, where not just like I would get a notification if something within like a certain range of specifications popped up. If anything in my area with the word Warhammer in it popped up, I would get a notification then.
Yeah.
And at the time it was ifttt.com or something I used for notifications. Probably now on your phone you can just have Craigslist give you notifications.
Does, yeah.
Yeah. This was a few years back, but yeah, it was a situation where I would just have a notification anytime Warhammer popped up on Craigslist. And the vast majority of the posts are from people who know what they have, they know what they're selling, and they are inordinately optimistic about what they're going to be able to get someone to pay for a used Hellhound,
Right.
Like even now I did some searching of what's available locally, and the only things that stay up on Craigslist for long are somebody trying to sell a used box of GW models for like MSRP, or sometimes even more than MSRP. Like these, I don't know if it ever works. It's annoying to have to sift through those posts. Yeah, there was like the only thing remotely in my area today was a Fire Breacher Tau Warrior team, which I think is just like Tau troops for $40. Like a box of 10 Tau troops for 40. Isn't that like a $35 box? I don't know.
were they assembled or painted?
No, it's just a picture of the cardboard box. I don't know.
Oh, then no. No. I
So
think that's most of my experience is like that.
Okay, so I'm kind of setting the preamble here of Craigslist is mostly a terrible place to shop for Warhammer models because most people understand that your local area does not have enough nerds to get the real market built up there.
Yeah.
But Craigslist is the place where you can get these stupid lucky deals every once in a while. Somebody cleaning their garage or their basement or their storage facility or their estranged son, they moved out or whatever. Craigslist is the place where you can find people getting rid of their collection and they just want it out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's growing mold and Casey, like a rat pooped in it.
Thanks for that, by the way.
and so that is the dream. That's the great white whale. That's what you're looking for. And I have had one incredible score that way, which is just life changing. I mean, like I'm half joking. Like it was an occasion where a posting showed up for $200 for a box of Warhammer stuff, and depending what's in a box of Warhammer stuff, $200. Maybe that's a good deal, maybe not. I had him send me a couple of pictures, and they came back fuzzy and everything, but it was like, okay, this is probably more than $200, and I do like a good rummage, so why not drive out to the middle of nowhere, New Hampshire, after dark down a 2 mile dirt farm road to turned out to be like a kind of like a small hippie commune, like in the good way, but like
Sure.
I mean, you meet some fun people on Craigslist, and that's another thing. eBay, you don't really get to meet the people you do in business. Craigslist, you do. So you get a real feel of what's going on. But
yeah, I mean, you're basically just writing the intro to a horror movie. I mean, that's literally what that is.
Oh yeah, no, it was a day where I needed to drive from Massachusetts to Maine anyway. And sure, why not drive out to the far corner of New Hampshire along the way, and
into like a farm, the dirt road.
Yeah, it was like a 2 mile dirt road with like no street lamps or anything. And I don't know, I got there maybe 9 p.m., which wasn't too late, but it was still stone dark.
Late enough that people are out, but also late enough that, hey, if somebody couldn't get a hold of you, they just assume you fell asleep a little early. Yeah,
of course. It's
the perfect time.
I'll tell another Craigslist story, probably the funniest late night Craigslist story, in a little bit here. But yeah, this time it showed up at this nice I don't know, organic farming commune, and they sadly their uncle had passed away, and he was a big old nerd, and I got all his stuff for $200. And it, just literally filled my car. Ended up being like 7 or 8 boxes of Warhammer stuff, like not totes. Model boxes, like moving boxes. Yeah. And that, jump started my whole collection. And then after that, I didn't feel as much of a need to search for stuff on eBay.
I could see that.
Yeah. And that was awesome. That was... Like, I remember, like, driving on the highway, like, reaching into the box next to me, like, trying to just see what was in the box. Because of course, it's in the dark. I'm in the middle of nowhere, New Hampshire. I know that I've just gotten the score of a lifetime, but I don't know what I've acquired, in the haul.
Yeah.
And, like, I just remember, like, reaching into the box, like, the trunk was filled, the back seat... Even the passenger seat was filled with boxes. I just remember reaching the passenger seat, like, I think that's a resin Bane blade. Is this resin Bane blade? Like, it was. It was.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's insane. And I think it's one of those things that you could probably only ever get on Craigslist. And maybe Facebook is kind of coming up into its own. It feels like the safer version of Craigslist. I found some stuff through that, not so much on Craigslist, and I'm not sure if it's just the area I'm in or what the deal is, but it's always people trying to sell stuff for retail value, basically. So it's kind of like, yeah, I've got some notifications, and it's always the same stuff. And like for the most part, Facebook is the same, but I have gotten that random notification of like, oh, this thing popped up. It happened to be somebody like within a few miles of me, and I went and bought that old, was it like 1995 edition of Necromunda for $20,
Cool.
Yeah. It just randomly popped up. So it's definitely something that it's like a slow kind of a thing. You set those notifications and it could just be your day,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, set the notifications, and again, like the vast majority of it's going to be someone trying to sell something you don't want at retail price.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, it's like, hey, box of Warhammer stuff for $100, and you look at those pictures carefully. Like maybe it's your lucky day. Like,
yeah, you never know. Oh man, that haul sounds pretty epic though.
Yeah, I mean, this happened, I don't know, 1 or 2 years before I started the YouTube channel, and it would have been a heck of a video if I had a YouTube channel at the time. Like I make fun of haul videos. Early on in the channel, I did have one $80 haul video, which is one quite nice box of Warhammer stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But it was not a car full of Warhammer stuff,
Yeah.
And obviously very lucky, very thankful, and I am trying to do right by the deceased gamer who hooked me up with all this cool stuff.
Even I've painted something from that collection.
Yes, you have. Cleaned out some dead flies out of a tank, didn't you?
Quite literally, and rat poop.
Yeah, I don't know if you identified the rat poop, but it was there. I'm quite sure of it.
It was there. It was probably mice, but either way, it's all pretty
Could have
gross.
been bats too. It was that box was in an attic for a while. Yeah.
Okay, bats. That's great. That's wonderful.
You're fine, Casey. You're fine.
I don't feel good. Like I was just touching that tank today. I need to varnish it again. Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably the best part of the video. Is just being like, look at that. That's terrifying.
Yeah. So I think in general, though, the used market isn't great for getting crazy deals right now. Just because, I mean, this is a good thing, but our hobby is doing well. A lot of people are interested in mini games and Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer, and there are more buyers than there are sellers out there right now, I think. And I hope the hobby continues to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger, but maybe in a few years, if there is a bit of a lull and a downturn, like, hey, that could be fun too, get those notifications back up and running, get those sweet deals.
Yeah, right now everything is like, it's just cooking, there are tons of auctions, like money flying all over the place. If you want to sell a model and get some money for it, you can right now. Like, it's definitely, we're in that kind of market. So yeah, it can be tough, but again, patience is the key.
Yeah, so I mean, Craigslist, there is no chance of going out looking for a particular item. Like, it's just, do you want to dip your toe in and see if there might be a deal on an army you had never considered before? Like,
yeah.
But Craigslist, since you aren't paying for shipping, like, the price of shipping all those boxes would have been more than $200. I can tell you that. Yeah. So Craigslist is the place where you might be able to score something absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Have you ever done any Facebook deals? I have not.
Just that Necromunda box.
Okay.
That was it. Otherwise, it's about the same as Craigslist.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can save searches in the same way. Yeah, I'd say they're about even.
Okay. I don't know if folks are maybe more willing to ship on Facebook groups or not. Like, Barter Bucket is the group that I know of on Facebook that does a lot of used Warhammer stuff, and I think sometimes people ship. But...
yeah, I've seen a lot of people willing to ship. I'm on the Age of Sigmar buy sell swap.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, a group like this, everybody in that Facebook group knows how to look up MSRPs on gamesworkshop.com. Like, you're not gonna get any crazy deals there. You might get somebody who's just, wants to get something out of the house. And there certainly are people like that who just, when they're done with something, they're ready to move on and not too concerned with the percentage of the return or whatever.
Yeah. Those are the big deals that I see, and I've seen maybe 2 since I've been back in the hobby and on Facebook in those groups of someone just going, I've had enough. Like, screw this entire hobby, $100,
Yeah.
And whatever. And that, it just doesn't happen almost ever. Like, I don't think people get to the end of a rope that quickly to sell everything for nothing. But I've seen it, so you never know.
Sure. Yeah, one podcast I listen to is the Independent Characters, and one of the hosts there, Adon, pretty regularly will talk about, like, yeah, we went to the yearly swap and I brought like a car full of stuff to sell, and yeah, it's just market stuff at like $5 a box. Like, I just needed to get it out of the house. And,
Yeah.
I I mean, there's definitely people who, when they're just ready to clear some stuff out or move something along to someone else who's in the hobby, they're just less concerned with
Yeah.
what the balance sheet looks like for the year.
I mean, I've gotten some awesome deals that way before. So in my local area, there's a couple of Golden Demon winners, just painters that just happen to live pretty close to me, actually. But they go through stuff like crazy. And one in particular is just like, oh, I got this, giant box of paints, or all the Badger stuff that I have. He had before, and he's just like, well, sure. How about just like $5? What do you want? Multiple? I don't even want this. I'm like, I want all of it.
Right.
Like, yes. Like selling GW paints that haven't even been opened, stuff like that. And it's just, whatever, $1 a bottle. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah, with all this, keep your eyes out, and maybe it'll be your lucky day, sure.
I mean, obviously, if it weren't for eBay and for doing all this stuff, I wouldn't literally be here right now talking to you. So, yeah, like I've enjoyed eBay for a long time. Craigslist, searching all the stuff. I mean, it's like another hobby within our hobby, and it's something that I don't think I'll ever stop doing, even though I could just buy brand new models.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's something we didn't even touch on was the fact that models do go out of production. And so you can just find like actually rare models up for sale that you don't see very often, or if you are buying lots, like there could be some hidden out of production stuff in there that's really fun. My Goobertown roulette treasure bin is a lot of metal models, and a lot of them were from that really big Craigslist deal of just, I don't know if when I'd otherwise paint this, but kind of a cool model and kind of rare. Yeah. We'll throw it in the treasure bin and see what happens.
I want to say that the dwarf that you painted riding on that it's like a goblin or a demon head or something.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that was a Games Day model.
It was. It was like 2006. And actually the crew that was in the most recent video was 2001 Games Day.
There you go, yeah.
And I know for a fact there's a couple other like quite rare-ish, pretty awesome models in there. And, this guy, Chris, who died, sorry for his loss, but I'm going to try to do right by him and get some of those models painted,
Right. Obviously a collector.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe the last thing here, have you ever found anything at a thrift store or pawn shop or anything like that?
You say thrift store, and it just reminds me that every single time that I walk into a thrift store, which is quite often, or at least it was, like since I was 11 years old, the number one thing on my mind was, I'm going to find something for Warhammer. I'm going to find, I don't know, a piece of terrain, something I can turn into something, or, hopefully some models, right? That somebody just doesn't know what it is. They put it in a bag and it's here for nothing. And I have never found anything. Yeah.
I think that's mostly true for me too. I have found some like stuff for terrain and conversions. I found a few like kind of tangential projects. One of my friends claims that at the swap shop at the dump at the transfer station that they did find some elves from one of the starter sets for I guess like the last edition of Warhammer Fantasy maybe. And I was like, Mike, that's awesome. And he said, yeah, I left him there for some lucky kid who walks in next. I'm like, wow, you're better than me. I could have been that kid. Really? I would have been that kid.
I am that kid.
Like, are they still there? Like, let me get in my car. Like,
that's great.
So it can happen, but I feel like a lot of thrift shops, like your like Goodwill and stuff, I bet somebody working the intake knows what Warhammer is. Like
Yeah.
they probably have a list of like stuff to look out for, or somebody's been working there for 15 years and they know what they know what a black lotus is just in case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. There's those specific items. Although you did just remind me that I have found a Warhammer card game in a thrift shop, and I actively, knowingly took it from somebody who was eyeballing it at the same time I was, hoping, and I could tell he's about my age. This dude, we're looking at
Okay.
the board games,
Okay.
right? And I see it, and I swear he kind of stops and is looking right. And I'm just like, okay, it says Warhammer 40,000 on it. All right, let's just be cool. I just reach up, and I could tell he's like, oh no, he's gonna grab, and I grab it, and he just walks away. I'm just like, yeah, that's right.
You
Like,
stare
it's
him
a
down.
Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. It has all the cards. I don't know how to play it. I don't
Yeah.
even know if it's good.
Yeah, and then you keyed his
Just
car and you
said it.
peeled out of there. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I held on to it the rest of the time. He was walking around for a little while longer, and then he left. But I could tell he was there looking at board games, just
Left
like I was, and
empty-handed,
then
huh?
he saw that. Yeah,
I see you've picked up a $1 Crichton book. Oh, cool. Yeah. Jurassic
right.
Park: The Lost World. Yeah, it's not as good. Not as good. Yeah.
No.
Oh, I just remembered. I said I was going to tell the stupidest late night Craigslist story.
Oh yeah. Don't leave the people hanging.
So a clownfish that is still alive that I bought 12 years ago from a man in South Boston at 12:30 at night. He was in the midst of moving out, and like all his roommates were in the house asleep, and we were like draining a fish tank at like 1 a.m.
Wow.
And then I remember like I had like a bucket of salt water that I needed to pour down his drain, and I was like opening random doors to try to figure out where the bathroom was, to like where the sink was to pour. And I just like walked in on one of his roommates, and look, the point is, I think that actually was a $200 fish tank. I think most of my best Craigslist deals are at the $200 price point, but I got the
Good to know.
29-gallon fish tank. I think there's like protein skimmer. There's one really good clownfish. That sucker's still alive 12 years later, and
That's insane.
yeah, it was a pretty good stand for the fish tank too. And while we were like packing it up, like he had a porn DVD like in his fish tank stand. He just like. There was like a moment of recognition from both of us, and he just like tucked it behind his bed. We kept packing up the fish tank, but I don't know. That's my best late night Craigslist story. Yeah.
I think the only weird thing that's ever really happened, and editor Matt knows what I'm talking about, because it's him and I went to go pick up some power supplies for like amplifiers, that kind of thing. It's like conditioners that you plug everything into. It keeps power steady. And this dude just like we rolled up because he had them for super cheap on Craigslist. We get to this place, and like he pops his trunk, and there's just like musical equipment and a whole bunch of these things in the back of his trunk, and he's like being super shady about it. And we buy them and kind of leave, and it's that kind of cliche, open the trunk and we're handed money, and he's pulling electronic equipment out of his trunk, whatever. And then like we get him back to our space and checking it, and we're looking at the stuff, and everything works fine. And they got all these stickers that say like University of Nevada on them, and I kind of still not sure.
Peeled that off real quick, yeah.
Yeah, still not sure if that's what happened.
That was from his last semester at the University of Nevada.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but it felt pretty shady.
Yes, that was stolen merchandise. Yeah, you're.
I think so. Yeah.
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 An idiot friend of mine bought a cat from the parking lot of an Arby's. It was supposed to be a ragdoll cat, ragamuffin cat. I don't know. He paid $400 in the parking lot of an Arby's.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not how you buy a cat.
You shouldn't. No.
No. Adopt.
Yeah, you go to a shelter and you
All right,
get
we
one.
have gone far astray now.
We have. You're right. We should probably mention that we've been recording these podcasts like I don't know, what time is it right now for you,
2:45 in the
Brent?
morning.
All right, exactly. We're on top of it. We got this.
Look, we've been recording later, one, so that there's no lawnmowers, but now that we're into fall, so there's no leaf blowers, and eventually there's no snow blowers at this time of night either.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope not.
We personally are maybe a little bit slower, but we're also a little bit punchier, and I think, I don't know, I'm having a lot of fun with this stupid routine that we have
Yeah.
going here. These cats are definitely more awake though, but that just adds to the fun.
For sure. It adds to everything. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the random video intercut between my video going in and out. Or if it's even shown up at all, I don't even know at this point.
Who knows?
It's going to be what it's going to be.
All right, move it along here, Casey. What else do we get? Wake up, Casey. It's not even midnight for you.
That's not true. I actually have no idea what time it is. I mean, if it's okay, yeah, it's 3-hour time difference. It's getting late enough, obviously. Oh, there's a couple of comments if you wanted to go over some of that stuff.
Yeah, jump into it.
Yeah, I like comments. Okay. So I'll just jump into the bottom end of this, and I'm just gonna say, Dana Howell left a comment on the last video talking about like the vaporwave stuff and some of the stuff we talked about. You know, if you listen to it or if you haven't, go back check it out. But she answered some stuff and said, "Hey, if the two of us ever make our way up to the mini wargaming bunker, feel free to hit her up. She's an hour away from Niagara Falls and would want to hang out and film some stuff." And I'm just going to go ahead and say, yes, let's do that.
I will also say yes. And if you are trying to dox anybody today, know that I live somewhere in the Northeast. Dana Howell lives somewhere near Niagara Falls. You could probably do some triangulation 1 hour away from Niagara Falls or the wargaming bunker.
I mean, it's all it's a radius. I mean,
I'm pretty sure there's some lakes there. I think she's Canadian. Like, you can probably get pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I said University of Nevada, so take that. Yeah.
All right, Dock City up in here.
Which city?
We would love to come to your house, Dana, and we will figure out where you live. Don't even worry about it.
Pretty much. That's what we're talking about. We're gonna find where you live.
That's okay.
Yep. All right, moving on. Would you like to read this one?
Okay. JB left a comment for us. They are new to Warhammer, and something that surprised them as they researched is how many paints my friends have and that other folks recommend to me. So I did a lot of traditional painting in the past, and I mix almost every color I need from the starter set of Reaper paints. I explore a bit with different blacks, whites, and primary colors, but otherwise I never feel the need to get anything else. So where does the attitude about not mixing paints to get colors come from? Am I wrong, or am I encountering the wrong people? And I think this is probably a very deep question, actually, but we can do a quick treatment. But like behind me in my shot, I have like 100 bottles of different color paints, and in theory you should be able to mix up everything you need from just a handful. So why do we do this to ourselves?
I mean, specifically the reason that we as miniature painters are doing it is because, and as much as we probably don't want to admit it, like a lot of what we end up doing is paint by numbers, right? Leather is Rhinox hide followed by Scrag brown, whatever. You know, the fact that they're pre-mixed and there is just for ease of use and to make an army consistent. Of course you could mix these colors. But you know, unless you want to keep a book of mixtures, you're not always going to be 100% the same. So I'd say that's more of why we do that than anything else. But I don't know if I've necessarily met people who don't like to mix colors.
So yeah, I think there is that consistency thing, especially if you are painting like an army and you want them all to be the same colors. It is nice to just have a bottle of the right shade of teal or
Right.
ultramarine or whatever.
Bottled
But
pants.
I actually think a big part of it is because very few of us came directly from art. Maybe more
That's
and more
true too.
now
Yeah.
as the hobby is getting bigger and bigger. But I think that the people who just started by playing by seeing Warhammer at the mall 20 years ago, um, most of those people were not artists first. Most of them were nerds and
Yeah. Yeah.
video games or card games or whatever, and their understanding of art came from what mostly Games Workshop, maybe like Vallejo, were trying to sell them in terms of what they needed for art supplies. And Games Workshop wants to make sure that you have all of their $3 or $5, $8 paints or whatever it is. And so
Yeah.
I think there is definitely an argument to be made about having a smaller range of paints and building up the confidence and the familiarity and the ability to mix the colors of paint that you want. I think it's awesome that JB here is, has the skills to do this and the confidence
Yeah.
to do this. That is awesome.
Right out of
Um,
the gate. Yeah.
as somebody who would certainly didn't start out as an artist, but I would like to someday be more of an artist. But um, the three primaries in black and white, it's actually pretty hard in my experience to get a lot of the color wheel actually. And
Yeah.
partially that's my fault, but I think there are some gaps in what the primaries can do, especially if you're not very good at mixing. But
Well, if I there's there are some things about the kinds of paints that you're mixing, like the primaries that you're mixing aren't necessarily actually primaries,
sure,
right?
yeah,
And that's part of the thing that people don't actually like about the fact that there are these individual colors, is because yeah, your Mephiston red isn't exactly red, is it? Necessarily. So if you start mixing with game colors, Citadel, whatever brand, I'm just saying like war game paints, you're not necessarily going to get true results. So you might get weird stuff, weird browns, weird grays, weird desaturation issues.
yeah.
So it's not exactly
Yeah, I'll have to look
good.
into what's in the starter set from Reaper paints, because I know like a lot of the paints that we use in our hobby are a mix of like many different pigments in there.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah.
mix, a couple of bottles of this stuff, you end up with like a paint mixture that has like 7 different pigments in there, and that's not going to
Hmm.
give you a bright green. That's going to give you a nasty brown green. Like that's
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but in general, I think mixing it is an awesome skill. If you can do it, that's great. Most of us we're not artists, and so we use just having the exact colors we need as a crutch. And every once in a while, it is actually just convenient to have that crutch. But
Well, it is, especially when you're trying to mix something that's vibrant, because it usually ends up not going that direction. Obviously, there are things that you can do to get those vibrant colors. But yeah, like you said, it's not like most people coming into this are coming at it from an artist background, or even took art in high school for that matter. Like you probably didn't. A lot of us. Um, yeah. So having like a really bright, vibrant green, unless you know exactly how to mix those, we probably don't have that many paints that would actually get that from like a Citadel paint line.
I mean, I've heard that it's part of like some good art classes to just mix the color wheel from 3
Hmm.
colors, and that is uh, I have a lot of respect for someone who can actually do a good job at that.
Yeah.
My understanding is that it is not as easy as it's supposed to be.
It's not. I do have some experience in this. I've taken lots of art classes, especially in college. Um, one of the assignments that we had was to mix like a basic color wheel and like a CMYK color wheel, and then do the gradation, right? Saturation levels. But part of the thing was to, as a test, was to Xerox the dried paint swatches that were in order next to a black and white scale to try and like we were graded on how close we were on that black and white scale. So it was a pretty interesting exercise. But yeah, not something you do every day.
Right. Yeah. And again, this gets a little bit back into that Chimera line of paints of really emphasizing the single pigment paints and emphasizing, mixing what you want for colors. And I'm glad that movement exists and is starting to become more popular in the hobby. I think that was great. So
I've been pretty interested in Chimera paints for a while.
I still haven't pulled the trigger, but I will. Right. I will someday.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as what did JB say is attitude about not mixing paints, like people have that attitude. I would just suggest that whoever you've been talking to doesn't actually understand what mixing paints is or does. Probably isn't coming from an artist background, because guess what? Like, mixing paints has been the thing for thousands of years.
I wonder where that comes from. We don't know who your friends are or making fun of you there, JB, but I definitely know people who get like the brand loyalty to.
I could see that. Sure.
Like, no, you're supposed to paint with. I don't even know what the GW paints are called. You need to use Hydra turquoise. What are you doing? Like, it needs to be bloodthirster red. Like,
Sotek green.
The people who develop a loyalty to the brand, and then from that to Mephiston red is best red. I don't know, but
it's not bad.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. But
you can also mix.
Don't worry about the haters. That's always our advice.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when people come at you, with, I don't know, not understing, or just they don't get it, right? They just don't understand
why
what
do
you're
you have a
doing,
skill that I don't have. That skill is stupid because I don't have it. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
So it's just not even anything to worry about. Yeah. But welcome to the hobby.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Was that it? Was that what we were doing today?
I guess so. I thought we are pushing. We are pushing on that timer right now.
Yeah. All right, we can close it out. You know what to do, Casey.
All right.
I give you permission.
Right. Well, thank you. I see. Now I'm all messed up. I got a whole transitional thing.
Thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. As always, we appreciate you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
We will talk to you next time. Awkwardly stare at the camera.
Matt knows what to do.
Yeah.
He knows. Well,
that's bad news.
How long had it been stopped for?
My guess is maybe 10 minutes.
Well, the real question is whether it completed the file and saved it properly before it just turned the fuck off, huh?
Don't say that shit, man. Fucking don't say that. I was joking about that fucking cat meme and all that. No, we're not.
Dude, if the first hour and a half was just that cat.
Oh, I'm in. That's fine.
Right.
It literally won't affect anything about the video. Like, if we literally just weekly changed out the memes.
Oh no, it wouldn't affect anything. It was just what it's fine. It's fine.
It'd be the same.
I held up some. That's true.